right now.
All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're live. Call to order, City Council regular session for October 6th, 2021. And just note that all councilors are participating via electronic means. And with that, I'll have a roll call, please.
This is Sandra. If you can bear with me, I'm trying to get my computer working, so I'm going to be using Stacy's for just a second.
All righty.
I'll start with roll call. Steve Clemens.
Here.
Gary Lillard.
Here.
David Glade.
Here.
Nicole Howard.
Here.
Marianne Meisner.
Here.
John Bozard and Justin Rock are excused.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We moving into consent agenda. We have one item of consent agenda, and that is approval of the regular session minutes from September 1st, 2021. Entertain a motion.
Steve,
Gary?
I have a correction to make on that one.
Okay.
There's a correction.
I noticed that it indicated that in response to the letters that were read into the public record last week, that it indicated that the "my body, my choice" mantra was okay. So I wanted to clarify that, because, you know, if they're saying "my choice," that potentially affects other bodies, not just theirs. So it's definitely not okay, not in my book, and I apologize if I gave a false impression. I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay. And do you want that changed in the minutes?
Sure.
Okay.
Gary, this is Stacy. It would make it a lot easier maybe if you could just send me a statement of what you mean and
Sure.
send it to me by email, and I'll fix that.
I would be glad to do that. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda. I suspect we need to say as amended.
I move approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Mute. Oh, I apologize. I had it on mute.
Okay.
Steve Clemens.
Yes.
Gary Lillard.
Yes.
David Glade.
Yes.
Nicole Howard.
Yes.
And Marianne Meisner.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Mike or Robert, any public comments to be read into record?
I have not seen any. Sandra, can you confirm that we don't have any comments?
None.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we go much further, council will recommend or remember that was it last Monday, a week ago Monday, the city hosted a town hall on the COVID situation, and after that, I've given a lot of thought to the situation, and I'm gonna read a personal statement at this point, and I'm gonna sort of take off my mayor's hat for a moment and just sort of speak to my feelings about the COVID situation. So give me a minute while I pull up the file. So, all right, and I'm not looking for any response from this particular statement. So I guess, you know, it should take me about 3 minutes or less, hopefully. So the COVID pandemic has turned our world upside down. The disease has thrown the economy and politics into disarray. I admit that during the first few months of the pandemic, I was skeptical of its virulence. I went without a mask to worry about social distancing. Data is still being processed, but at present it is thought that the death rate from COVID is substantially higher than that of most strains of the flu. In 2020, COVID was rated as the third highest cause of death for any reason in the world. Plain and simple, people die from COVID. A lot of people. As of today, over 707,000 people in the United States and 41 here in Union County. And as I stated during the town hall, at least 15, perhaps as many as 17 people in Union County passed away in the last 2 months alone. And these are deaths that I believe could have been avoided. And since my revelation on COVID seriousness, I've walked a fine line between fear and grave concern. Because of my fear of contracting or spreading COVID, I wear a mask in public, I social distance, and I wash my hands after I've been out and about. I'm afraid I could unknowingly transmit COVID to someone of my family, my friends, and others in the community. And I'm afraid that I or someone infected by me could be seriously ill or die in isolation in the hospital. So when the vaccine became available, I didn't hesitate to take the shots, regardless of the side effects. Like many others who felt like me, the vaccine was a relief from fear. As I watched the numbers of new daily cases fall over the spring and summer months, I grew hopeful that an end was near, but I remained concerned because of the number of people who chose not to get vaccinated. And just as the mask and social distancing mandates were lifted, the Delta variant hit. So now I'm concerned and I'm confused. Based on what I know to be the best science, if you choose not to get vaccinated, you will almost certainly get COVID unless you faithfully wear a mask, social distance, and wash your hands. Even with these precautions, you may still become infected. The added uncertainty is how badly will you be affected? You could be asymptomatic or you could die. If you show no symptoms and you don't get tested, you run the risk of infecting someone who could get seriously ill and die. Personally, I couldn't live with myself very well if I knew I was the cause of somebody's death. Now, believe me, I understand the desire for personal freedom, but what about the responsibility that comes with that freedom? Responsibility to self, to family, and to community. With rights come responsibilities to act not only in your own best interest, but in the interest of the community that you are part of. While I respect your decision not to be vaccinated for health or religious reasons, for those of you who've chosen not to get vaccinated for other reasons, I strongly encourage you to reconsider because it is the right thing to do. The vaccine is safe. Hundreds of millions of people around the world have been vaccinated. The vaccine isn't perfect, but with it, you have an extremely low chance of being hospitalized or becoming seriously ill. And the vaccine is one step you can take to help us all get back to a more normal life. I firmly believe that not being vaccinated is the wrong choice. It's wrong for an individual, it's wrong for the family and friends, and it's wrong for the community. All right, moving on to our agenda. We have no public hearings, we have no unfinished business, we have one item of new business, and that is to consider awarding a bid for the City Hall's HVAC upgrade and replacement project. Michael, take it away.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a project that was included in the budget hearings and in the fiscal year budget for this coming year. I don't know how much detail you're interested in the city's current system, but we have a number of units that are on their last leg. Some of them leak, some of them are just kind of band-aided to just kind of get us through for a while. But we have 2 or 3 units that are not expected to make it through the winter without significant repairs. And we've already kind of experienced some significant challenges with one of our units. And so anyway, we've gone out to bid. We've received 2 bids that are roughly $10,000 apart. And the recommendation before you is to select the lower bid of the 2. And this bid is based on a an engineer. We part of our process that was kind of discussed in the budget hearings, or at least in the narrative for this, was we hired an engineer to evaluate the city hall needs and design a system that best fits our building. And then we took that engineer's description anyway, put that together in a bid packet, and that's what all of the contractors that received the bid were bidding based on. And so it's not, each contractor didn't design the system themselves. So we truly have an apples to apples comparison because they're all bidding on the same system, the same design of system. Anyway, you'll notice in the narrative that we originally estimated this project to be around $100,000. That was in the spring when we had a contractor and an engineer walk through the building and just kind of identify what our building needs are. And they just kind of ballparked an estimate at that time. Since then, the system has actually been fully engineered. Then we went out to bid. Costs have gone up since spring. Labor prices have gone up, and so our bids came in considerably higher than what we expected. But they are within something that we can afford. We will have to dip into some contingency or some capital reserve in the general reserve account to make up the difference. But we have the funds, and we're ready to move forward with your blessing.
Okay. The only question I have, Mike, is when do you anticipate this work being completed? And if we award this bid and the work can't be done until next spring, is the bid price still honored?
My understanding is the bid price is honored. The timing of construction is questionable right now because some materials are hard to get. So when we first went out the bid, we had contractors ask us how firm we were on our timeline, because I think we have end of December as our goal. And we had several contractors, as they were putting bids together, asked us if we would reconsider and be flexible on that. So we put an addendum out, and that's kind of a negotiated date. So our goal was to have this done by the end of the year, by the end of December. But if materials can't show up, then we're kind of at the mercy of the date the contractor can do it. But they will be signing a bid, and they're going to be locked into this price. And then so this is what it's going to cost us. And I would imagine that if they order equipment, it's just back ordered. I can't imagine it being more expensive later if we're pre-buying it now. And they'll just have to, I guess, absorb any kind of labor costs that might go up between now and then. So hopefully we don't run into that issue.
Okay. Any other questions for Mike?
Yeah, I had a question.
Go ahead, Marion.
Mike.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, when you were saying that you had you had an estimate in March, was that including the estimate? Was that for the engineer's bid, or did that engineer come in later?
The engineer came in later. So when we did the original estimate, we had a contractor who brought, in fact, the engineer that did our design was the one that did the walkthrough in the spring, but he did not design our system. He just walked through, looked at what we had, and they just kind of made some best guesses because we were trying to put something together for the budget. And we didn't have budgeted to pay for a fully engineered design at that time. So we asked them to kind of put together, a high estimate, what they think is a high estimate at that time, so that we could ask for it in the budget. And so that's kind of what we got. And, conditions have changed since March when we had that walkthrough.
Dave?
So Mike, it looks like we got a grand total of 2 bids on this. And my only concern is, did we have no bidders from Grande? Do we not have any? I mean, I love that they're from Eastern Oregon. We got Pendleton and Baker, but I'd love to see somebody from Grande get this contract. Did we not have any contractors in Grande willing to take this?
We did not, and I wanted the exact same thing because one of our bidders was actually the contractor that did the walkthrough in the spring, kind of helped us put together our engineer packet, and they were actually not the successful bidder, unfortunately for them. But I purposely contacted each one of our local HVAC folks. So I reached out to our building department and I asked them to get me a list of every contractor in Union County that does HVAC work, and whether they actually do this kind of work or not, or whether they just service it. We sent out probably 20 or 30 emails to those folks. And then in addition to all the posting and our public works folks did the management of the bid process as far as getting packets to folks. And we sent out, I think, 22 or 25 or so packets. And several of those were local contractors. Some of those were, firms that just collect bids and they farm it out. But every one of our local contractors or local HVAC folks had the opportunity, and they were personally contacted. I called each one of them and asked them for their contact information so I could provide them a packet. And unfortunately, not one local contractor, at least a Grande contractor, submitted a bid.
Well, thanks for putting that work in. It's nice to know that we made that effort at least to stay as local as we could.
Yeah, I'm disappointed a little bit because I was at least hoping that one or two of our local contractors that do this kind of work, I was hoping we would have seen a bid from them, but we didn't.
So does that mean, Mike, that do you think any of our local people would be able to service it?
I think they probably could all service it. I would imagine that the contractor that does the install will probably be the person that does the servicing, at least during the warranty period. Once that expires, then, we'll, make a decision at that point whether we continue that. But I'm sure that the contractor that does the install will do all the services until the warranty expires.
Okay, thank you.
Any public input on this, Mike?
None.
Okay. Other council questions or discussions? 20 years is a long time for a system like that to function. And if we're putting money into it on a regular basis, I'd rather see us save that and put it into a newer system that'll last longer and require less maintenance. I'll entertain a motion for this.
I move that we award the 2021 City Hall HVAC upgrade and replacement project to Valley Metal and Heating Incorporated in the amount of $141,872. And further, that City Manager Robert A. Strope be authorized to execute the contract documents for the bid for the 2021 City Hall HVAC upgrade and replacement project.
Second.
All right,
Sorry, I
we have a
walked
mo-
by you, Mary.
We have a motion and a second. Additional comments, questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Steve Clemens,
Yes.
Gary Lillard,
Yes.
David Glabe,
Yes.
Nicole Howard,
Yes.
and Marianne Miesner.
Yes.
All right. That finishes regular session business. Union County Commissioners update. Commissioner Scarfo.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and councilors. I do want to say thank you, Mayor, for doing that town hall. That was fantastic. More information is always better. Did learn a lot. And Councilor Glabe, thank you for thinking local. I would ask the same exact question. With the updates with the county, we are still doing the testing on Tuesdays, every Tuesdays through October. There will be from 10 to 1 p.m. We are using a new testing, so we should receive the results back from 24 to 48 hours. Last results were taking 3 or 4 days. So that's fantastic. Always out on that. No pre-registration is needed. And whether you have symptoms or not, feel free to get tested. Like we said last month, that this is taking time helping the hospital and helping urgent care with testing. So if you wait till Tuesdays, please take advantage of our Tuesday testings. Fridays from 10 to 2 at CHD, still doing the vaccine clinics. Please If you need the vaccine, please go see them on Fridays from 10 to 2 at CHD. For our vaccine update, percentage-wise, 18 and older, we are at 55.6% vaccinated in Union County. We spoke last month, we were going about 1% a week. That has kind of tapered off a little bit. We're looking like 0.8. I was hoping to be 60% by the time I reported this time, but 55.6. I don't have the numbers for anyone younger on that, so I'm not going to report on that. Flu vaccines, I know it's kind of hard to think about anything but COVID right now, but flu vaccines are coming out. CHD wanted me to let everyone know on that. More reports on flu vaccine clinics. Hopefully there'll be no, what vaccine, having flu and COVID vaccines at the same time. Hopefully there will be no confusion there. Our case counts are dropping, but we've seen them drop before. Hopefully they continue to drop. I'm not holding my breath right now. Delta is still pretty strong out there. We do know that if you do catch this, that some people are getting sicker. The hospital is reporting that they're getting some, you get COVID, they're seeing it, the sickness more in depth than in the past. We did have a Zoom call last week with Governor Brown, the county chairs in the state. Good news is she did read all the declarations and resolutions that the counties had submitted. And she said that she was going to work on helping getting resources out to us, which is a positive, in my opinion. But currently, there's over 1,000 asks for nurses, respiratory therapists, all the way to bus drivers for the state. And sadly, that number is rising with the October 18th deadline coming up. I don't know if that's going to double, triple. I couldn't tell you. I do hear of other states having National Guard or driving school buses for schools and the like. And I'm like, I don't think National Guard can drive school buses for years and years and years. So I don't know what's going to happen there. A little bit on that declaration. There's been a lot of people asking about it. It's not about masks, not about vaccines. And yeah, it's partially about the mandate because we're in an employee crisis right now. And the governor is aware of that. That's why it was on a regional solutions call today. And she reported that the governor is in ongoing conversations as we speak to work on this. And I know Director Allen had I'm not going to quote him because the article just came out today. I just want to make sure it's correct before I quote him on that. But they're working on it, but there are no updates right now. I would expect a press conference coming on Friday. And just to stay tuned, I did get some numbers of hospitalizations statewide. I don't get this information too often, but I think it's good to share. As of September 27th, there's 17.67% hospitalizations are due to COVID in the state. And I know some people think that's low, like, oh man, I thought we were overran by COVID. 17% is quite a lot. And the doctor that reported this said the reason why it's even that low is because we're getting more and more deaths. And so it's opening up more and more hospitalizations. But just a little, how quickly this escalated. August 4th, 8% of our hospitalizations were due to COVID. August 16th, it was 15% were due to COVID. And now we're, upwards of 20. And this is from September 27th. And they are reporting that cases are going down. I don't get many reports on hospitalizations. Like I said, I got these three just through state meetings that I've been at. One of the concerning numbers that we received, we have 418 beds taken up by people with non-life threatening issues. And I spoke to Dr. Renee Edwards about this and how do we solve this problem. 418 beds is a lot statewide, and it's due because they can't discharge either for behavioral mental health issues or nursing homes are not expecting them back. So it's kind of like the perfect storm that's happening with our hospitalizations right now. And like Jeremy Davis mentioned, that there's a lot of people that held off their medical treatments from last year. And that's why we're seeing a lot of issues on the hospital. So anything we could do to alleviate pressure on our hospitals right now, and then the fact that we may be losing nurses, it's a very scary time. And the regional solutions call I had today, not too many people were asking questions due to the fact that we're all just sitting here waiting for October 18th to find out what's going to happen. And very scary time for our state, for our nation. I do not know. I can't tell you. And I spoke with a couple of people today. I'm not a I don't know guy. I always want to know something or have an answer to something. And I've said, I don't know here in the last 2 years more than I ever have in my entire life. And it really bugs me. So I know that was a lot. Anyone have any questions? And hopefully next month, I don't have COVID reports. I have something else going on.
It does look, Matt, like the county numbers are starting to drop a little bit. They've plateaued for a while, but just the last week has been coming down.
Yeah, but the weather just changed. Hopefully they come down. Yes, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, hopefully they come down. Yeah, Nicole.
Yeah, it just occurs to me, we got the EOU numbers currently, and I think those are worth being.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get those. Yeah, please.
So it's not a great story. About 62% of students at Eastern are vaccinated, which is not a good number for an institute of higher education. They have administered philosophical waivers to about 18% of students so far. So it's a lot. I think you could fairly say that it is not a vaccine mandate at the university. It's a vaccine suggestion. Students who don't want it watch a 28-minute video and they don't have to get it. So I think it might be good. I can rant about that all day long, but I won't. Instead, I think it might be good for the county to reach out to the university and maybe like the vax clinics every Friday, just plaster the campus with that. Maybe a student's thinking about it, maybe because I'm saying it every day in class. If they know where they could go to CHD 10 to 2. The other thing that Eastern is not doing is testing. At other universities, if you elect to take an exemption, philosophical or religious, you have to test weekly. Eastern is the only university, I think, not doing that. So it's kind of a wild unknown. On any given day, I probably have 5 to 7 students out on any class in quarantine. So if Eastern could leverage the free testing at Bimart and get students over there, particularly the unvaxxed ones, that might be great. I don't know how that would work, but it seems like talking would be good because Eastern can't afford to mass test, they say. But if the test is there and OHA is funding it, it would be great to get students in some kind of somewhat regular, once a week, every other week test. I think it would really help catch things earlier. So I don't know the degree to which the county sits down with Tom and Luke Aldrich, but that conversation should probably be happening.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you, Counselor. I did talk to Carrie Bergetti today, and they just had a vaccine clinic up at Eastern today, I believe. I did not get the numbers from that. I could look into it, but that's a very good point to maybe we could do some more advertising on campus for the testing events on Tuesday. And I'll talk with Carrie on that. It's homecoming weekend, so I'll be seeing Tom too. I'll be seeing everybody on that. And yeah, definitely bring that up. But yeah, the exemptions, I do know that some departments and some businesses are giving out exemptions freely and others are barely giving them out at all. So like I said, October 18th, it's going to be something. And then I rarely do this, but I haven't been public about it yet. And if this is going to help or not, a lot of people think that unvaccinated or a bunch of bad names and all this other stuff, unclean and whatnot. I don't like name calling or slurring or that. But I personally have natural immunity, and I am vaccinated. And I know it blows everyone's mind that I'm against the vaccine mandate also. But at the same time, that's where I stand. That's where I'm at. A lot of people ask me all the time, and it's really no one's business. But I thought publicly, if that helps anybody, if anyone wants to call me, please do. 541-963-1001. I know a lot of people have taken advantage of calling the county, calling me. Please do. That's why I'm here. But thank you, Councilor Howard, for that. Yeah, I did know some of the numbers, and it seemed small, but I think the university was fantastic last year in controlling COVID, and I was hoping for the same. But we'll see. Delta's been, the graphs were correct, and according to the graphs that the state gave us, they're supposed to drop off right now. And like Mayor Clemens said, fingers crossed. We'll see.
I saw Mary Ann's been unmuted for a bit. Do you have questions?
Well, I did. I wanted to know, Matt, have you heard anything about any of the booster shots?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I passed over that. Yes, we have Pfizer booster shots, but since we did not receive Pfizer here in Union County, we don't have too many that are qualified for that. I'm not going to go into qualifications. Please ask if you have questions on that. The Moderna booster, I don't think is ready yet. Like I said, if I don't know something, I don't want to report it or give that out. But please call CHD, call your physicians about the Pfizer booster. If you did get the Pfizer, maybe in the Valley, yeah, they are available here. Prior, Councilor Glade, I think your hand's up.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, I was just going to ask it, and this is probably more the professional side for me, but you mentioned that the test had changed, that it's going to be run on Tuesdays. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going through a different company, and I don't know how they're getting it sooner, or if it's a more local company that we're using. They would just switch a company instead of, I believe the tests were on Tuesday and people were getting the results Thursday night to Friday morning. Now, if you get a test on Tuesday, we're hoping that you'll get the results back on Wednesday, early Thursday.
My only concern with that is, typically with many medical tests, when we go to a more rapid test, that also means a less accurate test. And I know that this is a double-sided sword, it cuts both ways. You want to find out quickly, but you also want it to be accurate. And so you may not know the details there, but I was just curious if you knew anything about that, because I know some of the early testing that was done was not vetted well with the accuracy. I just want to make sure that we're not mass testing in the community with one of these tests that's not going to be as accurate, because that creates issues, again, both ways, with false positives and false negatives.
No, that's a very good concern, but I don't know any of the laboratory issues. I get some of the stats once in a while on the PRC test and the rapid test, and I don't even know what test they're using out there. But I am with you. Hopefully they are accurate and they're not just rushed.
Nicole, you had a question?
Yeah, because I have a kid who went to Weimar yesterday and got it. It's all over the school. And David, it was, the rapid test is about 20 minutes for a turnaround. So you can get that at the urgent care out by Walmart. And as you know, with the rapid test, more likely to get a false positive than you are to get a false negative. So the tests are pretty good about telling you if you're negative. They capture a wider positive by a couple percentage points. So it's pretty reasonable. The one in Weimar now is a self-administered nasal swab. It's not as high up as what you might want, but it's only like a percentage and a half off what it would be if the doctor did the up into your brain one. So I think they're pretty good tests. I don't think the quality is deteriorated, and we're still waiting for our results.
Well, hopefully you get them back soon. Today's Wednesday, so the 24 hours didn't work.
No, I know.
All right. Anything else for Commissioner Scarfo? Thanks very much, Matt. Appreciate having you around. All right. Staff comments. I see a number of staff folks here. Anybody want to enlighten us? Chief Bell?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and councilors. I've got good news to share with you. We partner with Shelter from the Storm on the OVW grant that funds one of our detective positions. We call it the Special Victims Detective, that does enhanced investigation that with our regular budget funded resources we're unable to do. So the domestic violence, sexual assault, well, that 3-year grant cycle expired end of September, and we just learned that grant was renewed. And so we're very excited about that. So we'll be able to maintain that position for another 3 years. So I was excited to be able to share that with you tonight. And fortunately, we can all use good news. So
yes,
there you go. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Chief. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Mike?
Yeah, so I have 3 things that just kind of share. Next Tuesday is the Planning Commission's first meeting on code amendments. And so they're focusing their discussion next Tuesday on Airbnbs. That seems to be the hot topic for this year. They've had one or two on their agenda for probably the last 12 or more months. But so they'll be talking about that, but then we're getting into the housing production strategy action items after that. So that'll be going for the next few months, and then hopefully you'll see something from them by next summer. The other thing that's going on is our Landmarks Commission is moving forward with the Downtown Historic District Standard Amendments. And we've, I'm just trying to think how many we've had. It's 200 and some notices that we just mailed out this week, beginning of this week. We made an effort with Main Street to try to get a list of all the businesses in our downtown. We've done the property owner lookup. And anyway, but it's 200 and some notices we're sending out. We have a media release, but October 19th, our consultants will be in town, and we're going to be doing a kind of a walking tour. And then I don't know how they're going to facilitate a kind of a little visit or town hall type discussion at the end of that. Whether if the weather's good, we'll probably be at Max Square outside. But then they also plan to do personal interviews with folks, which is kind of unique. And so I'm excited about that because they think folks will share their opinions more one-on-one over the phone or through a Zoom call than they probably will in a group setting. So anyway, so we're hoping this is going to get us some successful results as far as opinions and give us some direction moving forward for that code change. And then the third thing I wanted to share is there's a regional effort right now. I've attended 2 meetings with on housing stuff. I can't remember who put it together, but Portland State's involved. NEOEDD, however you say that, they're involved. And it's multi-county, so it's got Morrow County, Umatilla County, Baker County, Wallowa County, Union County. And we broke up into different work groups to try to come up with ideas and how can we promote new housing opportunities. And a lot of these are challenging because you need money to do a lot of this stuff. And there's every county and every city is kind of in the same boat. But one of the things that we're looking at doing, at least for the Grande folks that participated, there was probably 8 folks that sat in on this group. And so one of the things that we're looking at doing is trying to get together with the rental association and folks that maybe would be or may want to be landlords, and kind of have a conversation with them about how easy it is to put in an accessory dwelling unit on your property in order to create another rental. That's one way to accommodate housing that is a little bit easier for folks that already have properties and are willing to make an investment. And there's a number of folks that are willing to get together to kind of talk about what it's like to be a landlord and how to be a landlord, pros and cons, and then there's a desired effort to do something similar on the renter side, to have a renter education piece where you could chat with folks about how to be a good renter and in order to hopefully have a good relationship with your landlord. And the example that was kind of thrown around, which I think is a pretty good example, is you have a leak under the sink. So rather than just throwing a towel under there to soak it up, and is call your landlord, let's get that fixed before it results in property damage. And so anyway, so that's an effort that's going on right now. So you may see some of these folks out in the community chatting with folks, and at some point this group will probably want to get together with the city council to talk about some of our housing production strategy ideas, and and what the city might be able to do to kind of help help housing opportunities. And some of those are strategies we already have that these folks thought of. And it's just a coincidence that we've already thought of them as well. So anyway, that's coming down the pike. So you'll probably see something in the spring on that.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
I thought I saw Chief Cornford had his video on. I don't know if he's coming back or not. It looks like he is.
I'm back. I'll leave my video off. It's not very good tonight.
Okay.
But I wanted to give you a staffing update. We offered a conditional offer to a candidate who accepted. He's in background currently, and we hope to get him on board by the October 21st date. Bad news, we had a resignation that was effective October 3rd. So we're back into the business of looking for another candidate. But we did fill the position that's been open since May. So hopefully we'll get that reposted and get some more candidates in-house and get them tested. But wanted to let you know we did get one that looks like a good candidate, and he's going to fill a spot for us.
Okay, good. Gary, I see you got your hand up.
Yes, I have two for the chief. Chief, sounds like the governor has not backed away from the October 18th mandate. Where do we stand on that whole issue right now?
With the exception of one,
Gary, this is Robert.
Yeah.
I'll send out something. There's some confidential stuff related to that as personnel issues. I prefer we not talk about that one.
No, I'm not asking for confidential info. Well, let me phrase a question a little differently here. We won't get into that. I got to wondering if a patient who is presumably in a more vulnerable medical condition in the first place should happen to be infected by one of our medical people, especially if they happen to be unvaccinated, what's the liability for the city, if any?
Yeah, that's one that I would have to provide in a different setting because you're asking about what our liability is for specific action. And
tough question. Well, maybe better talk privately because I think that's an important question.
Yeah, I always hate to speculate about whether or not we would or wouldn't have liability.
Well, I'm not wanting to speculate. That's the whole point of the question. So we can do that privately.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other staff comments? And Robert, thanks for now your name is showing up, which is good. City manager comments?
Just want to let you know I appreciate being able to participate remotely. I'm on vacation in North Carolina with really, really bad internet. I don't have anything specific to report beyond what's already been touched on.
Okay. I'm gonna start off council comments with let's see, hold on. There were two proclamations that came out that I wanted to touch base with, and all I'm going to do is just draw their attention to them. The first one was actually a proclamation for September, which was National Suicide Prevention Month, and you may have noticed a number of people out on street corners, and there was a video that was put together, and there are still some little placards around the CHD building. Really what we were hoping for was, I had hoped to get this proclamation at the end of August so that it could be read in September, but I'm just making a note of it. And this one is appropriate because it's for November 1st, and it is the Extra Mile Day. And as I read this, it's an opportunity to go the extra mile in terms of community service and volunteerism and what it brings to and gives to the community. So I'll make a note of that proclamation. And the only other thing I want to mention is that next Tuesday, the 12th, I'm pretty sure Kyle and I will be headed to Baker City to a work session for the Baker City City Council. They are considering a quiet zone, and they are looking for input from our public works and from elected official, and I get to be that person. But they have had a citizen group come together as well, and they have 5 crossings, and they're really hoping, to follow our lead with this in a quiet zone declaration. So, Gary, I see you have hand up. What's
No, that was my oversight. I need to lower it. Sorry.
okay? So those are the things I've got. Gary, don't go mute yet. I was going to let you, if you have any comments.
Nope, I'm good tonight.
All right, Mary Ann.
The only comment I have is yesterday I went to get my flu shot at Weimar, and just to let people know, they are no longer giving any shots at all because of their closing because of Walgreens buying out the pharmacy. And there will be no pharmacy anymore at Weimar. I think she said it was supposed to be sometime in December, but she wasn't really sure, but they're not giving out any shots. And if you happen to have your prescriptions there, you might want to talk to them, because since we don't have a Walgreens, all of the prescriptions that haven't been forwarded to another pharmacy, when Walgreens takes over, will go into a prescription type of a mail-in prescription.
Okay.
So that just might be something people want to know, but don't go there looking for your flu shot.
All right. Thanks for that heads up, Marion. Dave, any comments?
Just a couple. I wanted to encourage people, if they didn't get a chance to view, the kind of town hall on COVID-19, I think it would be great. I think that's still up and available for our citizens to view, and I would encourage people to do that if they haven't. And I want to thank the mayor and our panel and Brent, who were involved in that. The other thing is just I do want to draw some attention. We had Celebrate the Grande since our last council meeting. That's an annual event. We wanted to acknowledge some of our city staff that were involved in that. Chief Cornford, Chief Bell were there. Matt showed up from the county, which is great. Brent was there, and I think Dana Wright gets some special mention for leading that effort. It didn't turn out the way we wanted because of weather, but a good event to have our citizens acknowledge how much how blessed we are to live in this valley and be citizens of our city.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Dave. Nicole?
No, I don't have anything, Steve. Thank you.
All right. Just a note, EOU's homecoming parade this Friday afternoon, and then homecoming game and celebration Saturday. I'm going to, we're going to adjourn the city council meeting here shortly, and then we're going right into urban renewal district. So when I adjourn it, I'll give us 5 seconds, and then we'll make the transition. So officially adjourn the regular session of the City of LeGrand City Council meeting for October 6th, and be back in moments. All right, I call to order the Urban Renewal Agency regular session for October 6th, making note that all agency members are participating via electronic methods, and ask for a roll call, please.
Steve Clemens,
Here.
Gary Lillard,
Here.
David Glade,
Here.
Nicole Howard,
Here.
Marianne Miesner.
Here.
And just as a note, agency members John Bosarth and Justin Rock are absent, excused. We have a consent agenda with one item, and that's approval of the Urban Renewal Agency minutes from August 4th, which is our last meeting. Any amendments or changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Move that we accept the consent agenda as amended. That says as amended. We didn't amend it, so it must be as approved.
Yes, as approved. Thank you. Second?
Second.
I'll second. Yeah.
All right, so Marianne made a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. Nicole has seconded. Can roll call vote, please?
Steve Clemens,
Yes.
Gary Lillard,
Yes.
David Glabe,
Yes.
Nicole Howard,
Yes.
and Marianne Meisner.
Yes.
All right. Any public comments to be read to record?
No.
Okay. No public hearings, no unfinished business. One item of new business, and that is to direct staff to extend the agreement with the Liberty Theater Foundation. Robert, you're going to handle that one?
I am, Mayor. Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor and members of the agency. The agreement between the Liberty Theater Foundation and the agency essentially is a loan for $150,000 that will convert to a grant if certain conditions are met. The current situation is we issued an extension to that agreement that expired in June of this year with the delays related to COVID. The foundation is asking to extend that out until June 30th of 2023. All of the terms would remain the same. I think that under the circumstances, it would be unreasonable for us to ask that they comply with that June deadline. In your packet, you have a copy of the letter from the foundation that talks about this in a little bit more detail. We do have a couple of members of the foundation board that are available to answer questions if there are any, and I'd be happy to answer what I can, but I think this is more of a housekeeping thing under the circumstances. And that's all I wanted to present as part of the staff report.
Robert, how many extensions have we given them?
I think this would actually be the second extension.
Okay.
We had gone through a process where we talked about should we change the agreement to provide a deed restriction in order to allow them to use ownership of the building for grant purposes, and the agency had actually approved doing that. And then they came online and said, you know, we're really close. We think that we can get this thing done without doing that. So just give us an extension in time, which the agency granted. And then COVID hit, which kind of threw a bit of a monkey wrench into their construction timeline.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Sure. Yep, you're welcome.
So Robert, on the council action form, there's a duplication of section 4, conversion from loan to grant conditions. And it lists a number of things, not least of which is that they would have until August 20th, 2018, which is now 3 years ago, to raise money for a grant. And it goes on, and then just below that it says, the foundation requests that the current agreement be extended until June 30th, 2023. So what in that grant condition is changing? Is, I thought they got.
Yeah, just the date. So the original, and I apologize, when I plugged in the section 4 conversion, that was the language in the original grant.
Okay.
And what we extended was simply the August 20, 2018 date. We extended that to June 1st of 2021.
Okay.
And so the only language for this section, which talks about the grant conversion, would be that date would then become in the amendment an extension to June 30th, 2023. But the amount of money that they have to raise and all of that would all remain the same.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Welcome.
Any other questions for Robert? Gary?
No, I'm fine.
Public comments?
We
I
did
see
not
Jeff
receive
is
any
here.
others.
Ted's here. Either one of them want to make comments about this?
Yeah, I could give you guys a quick update if you're interested in hearing where we're at with the theater.
Okay.
We're approximately 3/4 completed with the overall project, and we were recently awarded $250,000 from the Murdoch Charitable Trust, which really takes us over the final hump. We have a small amount of fundraising to do remaining, but we have targeted a number of grants in the America Rescue Plan Act. It's Biden's Build Back Better that we have our grant team working on. So we have the project in hand. A lot happening next door. Appreciate you guys having us on today, by the way. Electrical is now at about 80% in the structure. HVAC is about 90% completed. Sprinkler system is installed. We have sheetrockers and painters finishing the upper level of the building, and that will allow us to take out the large, we call it the dance floor. It's a large level floor that allows our contractors to access the upper level, finish all the detail work around the chandelier, things of that nature. Sheetrocking is 90% complete. We have, framing is 90% complete. We have yet to sheetrock some of the entryway areas. Sound, light, theater equipment is all purchased and is in storage currently. We have all the chairs for the theater acquired and in storage. We have lifted the stage about 4 feet to give us a much more accessible green room, dressing room underneath, and that is all completely framed out. And then we have the tiered flooring in for the seats in the main level. A lot has happened over there in spite of the crazy delays that we experienced due to the pandemic. You know, we had construction prices tripling in value, which threw off all our bids, and we had just labor shortages as well. So appreciate the extension that you guys are working on there, but we definitely have the project in hand.
Thanks for that, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, council comments or a motion?
I move that the Urban Renewal Agency direct District Manager Strope to prepare and sign the necessary documents to extend the current agreement with the Liberty Theater Foundation to June 30th, 2023 as presented.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Other agency comments? If not, roll call vote, please.
Steve Clements,
Yes.
Gary Lillard,
Yes.
David Glabe,
Yes.
Nicole Howard,
Yes.
and Marianne Meisner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, good. Thank you. District manager comments.
Just a reminder that our new economic development person will start on October 21st. So we're really excited about that. That's all
Okay.
I have. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Agency member comments. Marianne? Dave? Gary?
I'm good.
Nicole?
No.
Okay. I'll adjourn the meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency and bid you all a good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.